Welcome back. You're just in time. It's Expresso, your feel-good breakfast show on S3. Now, earlier we spoke about burnout, but if you're not sure, burnout is a term we hear more and more, and it is typically described as a feeling emotionally and physically drained. Now, we have clinical psychologist Kavashni Govender joining us this morning to give us her perspective on the condition, as well as tips for re-establishing your balance. We want to reset, and we want to make sure we end the year not feeling pop like we did the last couple of years. Kavashni, it's great to have you here again. Thank you for joining us. Now, when we talk burnout, I think before we get to burnout, a lot of us are always exhausted as young adults, as adults in general. Is it normal for grown-ups to feel exhausted?
So that's really important. So it's normal for us to feel tired.
Okay.
So we have everyday stresses. We'll have physical exertion. We might lose some sleep. We've been to an event. So very normal and regular to feel tired. But this can be easily remedied. So if we get enough sleep, if we adjust our lifestyle in a certain way, easily remedied. You know, we have sleep, we catch up, we feel refreshed. We take some rest, we feel refreshed. Easily remedied.
Okay. Now, when do we cross over to burnout? Where is that line or that phase? Because it's never a clear-cut line.
Yeah. So moving into burnout is when we move from tired to being exhausted. So the exhaustion is key. So you would feel the mental and the physical exhaustion. And this burnout is not easily remedied. So if we have sleep, we get up in the morning, we still feel exhausted. If we have rest, if we sit on a Sunday afternoon, like yesterday, with a book and a cup of coffee, we don't feel rested. So yeah, it's not easily remedied like tired is.
Okay, so when you're tired, you take a nap, you wake up, you feel better. But when you're burnt out and you have a full night's rest, you're still exhausted the next day. Now, what are the physical side effects and as well as the mental side effects of someone experiencing burnout?
So if we think of, again, Monday morning blues, people often talk about, let's look at the physical. People talk about an upset stomach. They talk about headaches. You may feel, sick, just a feel of unwell in your body. And when you look at the physical, the mental symptoms, people can feel overwhelmed. So burnout it's really important that it's known as an occupational phenomenon. So it would be feelings around work. It would be a negative sense of, being at work, a sense of mistrust at work. Also important is behavioral symptoms. So behavioral symptoms would be not completing tasks. There would be deadlines and we wouldn't complete it. There could be outbursts. So there's this colleague that's been annoying and then there's this huge explosion. So it's the mental, the physical, and the behavioral that we look at.
Well, I remember, experiencing burnout in my own career early on, and for me that looked like you were reaching milestones, things you were supposed to celebrate and be excited about. But in the moment, I was so exhausted. I was just wishing that moment over so that I can go to bed because I know I had to wake up at 3:30 the next morning again. And looking back now, I'm like, wow, that was such an important career highlight that in that moment, I just wished it over so I could go to bed. So how can we avoid, earlier I asked Dr. Sharon this as well, about what do we need to look out for? Because only once you experience it do you know, hang on, I'm approaching that end of my candlestick. But how can we look out for our loved ones or even ourselves if we don't know what burnout looks like?
So there's three main categories that we look out for. So the first one is the exhaustion. So the mental and physical exhaustion. The second one is feeling disconnected from work. You're saying, well, I couldn't enjoy the achievement. It's the feeling of cynicism, mistrust you may feel at work, nobody cares about me at work. And the third category is productivity. We see that productivity is impacted. So those are the three big things we look out for. If you're an employer, you look out for those things in your employees and your team. In your colleagues, in your friends, in your partner, those are the three big things you look out for. really important that if it shows up in your personal life, then you're looking at something else.
Okay.
Because burnout is exclusively for work.
Okay, okay. What do you do in the event it's now in your personal life? Is that a topic for a whole other day?
Well, I think this is really important because then you get yourself to a mental health provider and we see, well, what is it? Because burnout is exclusively for work. What is it?
Okay.
Is it depression? Is it anxiety?
Yeah. Okay. Well, Kavashni, thank you for joining us today. Thank you
Yeah.
for sharing the ins and outs when it comes to burnout. I think for me, the most important thing from this conversation is burnout technically is around work and your work environment. It should not be filtering into your personal life. So if you are perhaps experiencing any of those symptoms and beyond, it's best to go and speak to a professional or perhaps a medical doctor to make sure that you end this year strong.